Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to custom adjust your preset blade holder for your Boss Cut Gazelle. Before we get started, you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need your preset blade holder. You're going to need a standard Gazelle blade, a 1.5 millimeter hex tool, and a small flathead screwdriver. Alternatively to this hex tool and the screwdriver, I have a little tool set like this. You've probably got one too. So I'm going to use the 1.5 millimeter hex tip and the small flathead screwdriver tip with the handle. You want to be sure that you're using the standard Gazelle blade and not the vinyl blade or the deep cut blade. Those blades are not suited for this holder, so just be sure that you're using a standard Gazelle blade. Notice the numbers on the dial of this preset blade holder and the little arrow on the side of the holder, and be sure this dial is set to the number 1. With it set to the number 1, insert the shaft end of the blade into the blade holder, and you'll feel the magnet, grab it. And to make sure that it's pushed up in there all the way, because some of the shafts are a little snugger than others, point your blade tip down on a piece of heavy folded cardstock, push down and just apply gentle pressure. You don't want to bend or break the tip, you just want to make sure that it's pushed up into the holder all of the way. Once you've done that, use your 1.5 millimeter hex tool. Let me grab my glasses so I can see it. Use your 1.5 millimeter hex tool, and between the numbers 2 and 3, you'll see a little hex screw in the side of the dial. Insert your 1.5 millimeter hex tool into that little hex screw and turn it counterclockwise. Don't take it out, just loosen it up a little bit. Be careful how you hold the holder, because when you push the plunger, the blade's going to poke out and you don't want to stab yourself with it. Hold the blade holder up like this in a vertical position, maybe slant it a little bit, and then with your small flathead screwdriver you're going to push in the plunger so that the flathead screwdriver fits into the little flathead slot that's on the edge of the plunger. Before you do this, fill the end of the holder with the dial on setting number 1 and feel how much blade is there. Determine if the blade needs to extend a little more or retract a little more. The goal is that with the dial set on 1 and a force of 1 on the machine, you'll be able to cut sticky back vinyl nice and cleanly without cutting the backing on the vinyl. Only the vinyl itself will be cut. So you've got your dial on a setting of 1. You've loosened up the little hex screw on the side. By feeling this blade, you're going to determine if you want the blade to go back in a little or come out a little more. You should just barely be able to feel this. And say, for example, it feels like it's sticking out a little bit too much. You want it to retract a little bit. In order to retract that blade a little bit, you would push in the plunger with the tip of the screwdriver, and when it's pushed in all the way, turn your screwdriver up a little bit so that it goes into the slot of the screw, and turn it counterclockwise a little bit. A counterclockwise turn will retract the blade. You've turned this dial a little bit, feel the end, and determine if you think it's good or if you need to adjust it a little bit more. Once you've got this blade adjusted and it feels like you think it should, Again, use your 1.5 millimeter hex tool and turn the screw on the side of the dial clockwise to tighten that screw. Don't strip it, but make it snug. Once you've snugged up this screw on the side, put your blade holder in the machine and test cut a simple shape on sticky back vinyl. According to the results of that test cut, you may need to either extend or retract the blade a little bit. Remember, your goal when you do a test cut with the dial set on 1 and the force on the machine set on 1 is that the sticky back vinyl will be cut cleanly, but the backing on it will not be cut. I've already done a test cut to show you what the results should look like. Now, you probably can't see it, but there's a little flower cut out of this vinyl, and what I'm going to do is weed it to show you what's there. Now, see how that's a nice clean cut on that flower? I'm going to turn this over so you can see. There are no cuts on the back of this backing. Only the vinyl is cut. When I remove this next piece of vinyl, I'll loosen up that pedal here. I hope the video will show it. Only the vinyl was cut. The backing paper on the vinyl is not cut at all. Can you see that? When you get a nice clean cut through only the vinyl and not the backing material, then you'll know that that blade is adjusted correctly. If you do a test cut on vinyl, and if it doesn't cut through the vinyl cleanly, then you'll need to extend the blade just a little bit more by loosening the screw on the side and turning the screw on the top. After you've turned the screw on the top, be sure that you tighten up the screw on the side. If you need the blade to extend a little bit more, then you're going to turn this screw on the top here clockwise. If the blade is sticking out too far and you need to retract it a little, then you're going to turn this screw counterclockwise. And just a little recap, you will loosen the hex blade on the side, switch to your flathead screwdriver, push in the plunger carefully, get your flathead into that screw, and either turn it counterclockwise to retract the blade or clockwise to extend the blade. And once you've made that adjustment, be sure that you use your little 1.5 millimeter hex tool and snug up that little hex screw on the side. And that's how easy it is. With your blade adjusted properly on a setting of 1 with a force of 1, you will be able to clean cut sticky back vinyl without cutting through the backing. And then from there, with your other materials, you'll just increase the dial for thicker materials. And that dial goes all the way up to a 6. So with my blade on a setting of 1, I can clean cut sticky back vinyl without cutting the backing on the vinyl. At a setting of 2, I can cut very lightweight cardstock, and then about a 3 is regular cardstock. When I turn my dial to a 4 and increase the pressure to 2 or 3 on the machine, I can clean cut through textured basil. You'll just have to use your blade and write down the settings that work best for you. And remember to always use the standard blade for this. That's how easy and quick it is.